Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked, where I climb the online series 12 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. Today we're playing a couple of more games with the Reshiram Calyrex-Ice Rider team that finished second at the Indianapolis Regional Championships. If you've not seen the last episode, I've linked it down in the description below, and details for the team are in the description below as well if you want to try it out yourselves. If you want to skip to the battle of the title and thumbnail I'm referring to, that's going to be the third game, and as always, it's all timestamped in the description below, but all the games are pretty exciting, so I encourage you to check them out, and thank you so much as always for watching Road to Ranked. If you enjoy, please show your support by leaving a like, I'd really appreciate it. And question of the day, kind of just a fun random one, but I want to know what your first ever video game was, either Pokemon or non-Pokemon. For me, it was definitely some random game on the Game Boy Advance, and I wish I could remember, but I really don't. But Emerald was my first Pokemon game a couple years later after I got the Game Boy. So yeah, let me know yours, and let's get started. All right, our first game here, and it is Kyogre Zacian with Urshifu, Gyeleki, Rillaboom, and Grimmsnarl. I mean, Reshiram under Trick Room is excellent here. The question is getting Trick Room up. Easiest answer really is just Incineroar Porygon as a lead and sacrificing Incin for a free switch in, I think. What does this lose to though? Like, Incin Porygon is really weak into Kyogre plus Rillaboom because you have a faster fake out. So you could fake out the Porygon and then just max Geyser or Water Spout. So Incin and Porygon is actually terrible into that. For that reason, I think I actually would rather lead Gyeleki just to pressure Kyogre on turn 1 with Reshiram and Calyrex in the back. Honestly, you can make a decent argument to drop Calyrex for Incineroar in this game. And then just play a very Reshiram or Gyeleki-centric game. I'm not opposed to that, I think. I mean, it's just Lake and Glacial Lance is always valuable. I think I'm still going to bring Calyrex because, yeah, like, Lake and Glacial Lance is just so crazy if you get to that game state where you've stalled out their Dynamax. But I think one thing that I haven't mastered with this team, and honestly, like, just in this format, is feeling comfortable dropping a restricted Pokemon in certain matchups. And I feel like that often comes with, like, really understanding a team, right? Okay, it's Kyogre plus Gyeleki. We're not max speed Gyeleki here, so I'm really nervous about something like just an Electro Web into a Water Spout. Honestly, I think I'm going to just Dynamax Gyeleki here. Lightning and Trick Room on turn 1. Because this pressures Kyogre with a one-hit knockout. And if I get a one-hit KO on a Kyogre, I don't even care about the rest of the turns of Dynamax, honestly. The other question is how fast their Kyogre is and what item it's running. No Dynamax yet from their Gyeleki, which is at least promising. Like, what would you expect here, right? Like, Electro Web, Water Spout, or Electro Web, Dynamax, Kyogre, Geyser into the Gyeleki slot. I think both of those plays make sense. So then the question I have is, does an Electro Web plus a Geyser one-shot, or I guess I should say two-shot, Porygon if you Dynamax Kyogre here? Okay, they don't max Kyogre, though, so Electro Web comes out. Yep. I'm totally okay with this outcome, though, I think. As long as they don't one-shot us here. And they just Origin Pulse. Okay, cool. Oof, that was a lot of damage, but we don't get KO'd. Okay, nice. So Lightning here, we'll get the one-shot onto the Kyogre. Given the playlet they made, I actually would have been fine just, like, you know, sacrificing Gyeleki on turn 1, but I just really wanted to ensure the knockout onto Kyogre, because it's just not a fun Pokemon to go up against. Especially if they like Dynamax on turn 1. What's also interesting is now you've got the speed drop onto my Gyeleki, so I don't think they bring out Zacian. I think they bring out whatever their 4th one is, right? We'll see what that is. Okay, that is going to be Urshifu. Okay, Urshifu makes sense. You can obviously pressure with Wicked Blow or Close Combat here. Given the Calyrex in the back, like, I'm honestly down to just go for Lightning here, sacrifice Gyeleki, foul play, break Urshifu Sash, and then play towards the Reshiram Calyrex endgame with Glacial Lance spam. Oh, interesting. They actually detect Urshifu. Okay. Maybe I should have launched Lightning into the Gyeleki slot then. That might have actually just one-shot. The whole idea was to break Focus Sash here, though. We do a ton of damage through Protect here. Like, yeah, that is a ridiculous amount. So Lecky probably KOs me here with like a Thunderbolt, but then I bring out Calyrex, and now I can just Glacial Lance Earth Power, right? They go for Electro Web again. Okay. And I survived that. Cool. We'll take that. Kind of surprising to me. I can just go on into Calyrex, right, and just foul play into Glacial Lance now. I guess the only fear is if you're Focus Sash Lecky, you Dynamax and then Max Lightning my Calyrex, or Sucker Punch plus foul play actually KOs my Calyrex. That's the other fear. But are you really willing to Sucker Punch right now is the question. Oh, I guess you could Sucker Punch Porygon. Okay, I'm gonna Glacial Lance here then, and click... I really want to Eerie Impulse a Lecky here. Okay, yeah, I'm down for it. Because that gets around the Sucker Punch potential from Urshifu. Yep, it is Dynamax a Lecky. So it's like, let's say you try to Sucker Punch Porygon, it doesn't go off, I Glacial Lance, and I get the Eerie Impulse off. It's a disaster for my opponent. Yep. Beautiful. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay. Now I should KO Urshifu and break potential Focus Sash on a Lecky. That's more than breaking a Sash, honestly. It's almost just a KO. Now you're at -2. So then the question is, would a Max Lightning from Magnet a Lecky like one-shot Calyrex right now? We'll see. Oh, not even close. Beautiful. Okay, cool. Yeah, if I went for Foul Play plus Glacial Lancer, which was the play I was initially tempted to go for, there's so many problems with that, because they could Sucker Punch Calyrex, they could Sucker Punch the Porygon, and they could be Sash Lecky, which I actually feel like is very likely here. Okay, so double checking the board state. There's still 2 turns of Trick Room left, and we've got Reshiram in the back, which is obviously very good against Zacian in this endgame. Now, in this position, like, it feels seemingly obvious that they're going to protect the Zacian, or sorry, protect a Lecky and then try to KO Calyrex. To which, like, I could respond by going for a high horsepower. 2 turns of Trick Room. We are at +1. Yeah, I mean, I'm honestly down to just high horsepower and foul play Zacian here, because the thing is, we know I survive a Max Lightning with Calyrex right now anyway. Cool. And they don't actually protect either, so if we hit high horsepower, it should be game over. Nice. I thought about clicking the self-foul play as well, but I was like, does that just KO me? Because I'm at +1 attack. And I certainly don't want to, like, risk a critical hit either, right? Nice. Yeah, I thought the Urshifu Protect was kind of surprising, because it actually allowed my Lecky to get, like, a huge attack off. Whereas I thought in that position they could have just, you know, clicked Wicked Blow, but I think they were clearly scared of an attack from the Porygon side, which makes sense. But this is why Eerie Impulse Porygon is so valuable, right? If you get it onto a special attacker like Dynamax's before it even gets a move off, it feels like it just puts you in such a good spot. So now you get Reshiram out. In the end, I think it was better to have both restricted. Like, I don't think Incineroar would have actually contributed very much. The main reason for Incin's Intimidate onto Zacian, but yeah. Anyway, we can just Glacial Lance and Earth Power now. Turn 1 was also scary. Like, there was so much that could have gone differently in this game. If, like, Kyogre Dynamax is on turn 1, that could have been really scary. Especially because, like, if I don't get Trick Room up in this game, I actually feel like I lose. So, and it, like, my opponent could have just doubled up onto Porygon on turn 1, like Thunderbolt Max Geyser. If you get the one-shot there, yeah, things play out very differently, I think. They actually had Crunch here, which is interesting. It's kind of a tech for Lunala and some of the other dark weaknesses in the format right now. Lum Urshifu, wow. Okay, can't remember the last time I've seen that. But it makes sense because Sash indeed was on the Regieleki. They were just max speed. Miracle Seed Rillaboom, very standard there. Life Orb Kyogre. Without Protect, that's interesting. Origin Pulse, Ice Beam, Water Spout, and Thunder. And then Lagging Tail on the Grimmsnarl with Fake Out, Scary Face, and Trick. So it's not running the classic dual screen set. So yeah, there's so many ways you can run Kyogre Zacian right now, right? You can run Assault Vest on Kyogre. You can run Life Orb, Sea Incense, Choice Scarf. Like Rillaboom could run Assault Vest, for example. Protect Miracle Seed feels a little bit more standard. Lecky could be a Life Orb, could be Magnet as well, or Sash. Or Urshifu could be Sash or Band. So you know, even though the Pokemon might be standard, there are tons of different ways that you can deviate based off your moveset, EV spread, and your item choice. So, yeah. Either way, the Reshiram Calyrex under Trick Room there looked really solid, so let's look for another. Alright, next game here, and it is Charizard, Groudon, Calyrex-Ice, Whimsicott, Urshifu. Very hyper-offensive Sun here. You know, pretty similar to the team we just featured. No Venusaur, though. So, like, normally the goal is if we get Trick Room up against these compositions, we should be in a very favorable position, but I have to deal with potential Imprison plus Trick Room on Calyrex, you know, Choice Band Urshifu close combat on a Porygon, Taunt Whimsicott, Switcheroo with Eject Button. There are a lot of things to worry about here. I wonder if it's ever just a Reshiram lead, but like I'm very nervous about Charizard Groudon, and I don't feel comfortable with like instant Porygon for that reason. What if I went Alecki Instant here? Well, that means getting Trick Room up feels very difficult, no? But the idea behind Alecki Instant is Intimidate onto Groudon, max Lightning Pressure on a Charizard. I can Strike. I think I'm going to go Alecki Porygon, Reshiram Calyrex here again. But, I don't know. Not bringing Incineroar into this matchup feels awful. I think, like, maybe it was to drop Calyrex and go with only Reshiram. But the thing is, it's so hard to drop Calyrex, right? Glacial Lance spam is just amazing here, so... Today's interesting because I've defaulted a little bit more on this Alecki, and part of it is because we're going up against these, like, really fast-paced teams. Urshifu Charizard, okay, I'll take that. So this is where Alecki immediately is super interesting, right? Because, like, if you're my opponent, you might be inclined to just switch Charizard out into Groudon on turn 1, right? But the problem is they could just, I don't know, Airstream close combat Porygon for a KO. Oof. So the question is it worth it to Dynamax here? Do I just make the crazy call? The other play I could make is like just Volt Switch into Urshifu. If I'm my opponent, I'm honestly maxing Charizard here, but do they have the foresight to go for it? Call me crazy, but I'm actually just going to go for the Dynamax here. And actually just foul play Urshifu. Nah, they do switch though. Okay. Like, so basically the reason why I thought they'd be willing to take the risk, and I actually in that position would probably actually have Dynamax there, is because if I just Volt Switch into Urshifu and Trick Room on turn 1, I think they just lose the game, honestly. And so I was willing to make the bet that they didn't want to just gamble the game away like that on turn 1, but they just go for the safe switch, which is totally fair. But, you know, obviously feels a little bit bad. I guess the other thing to consider, no, Max Airstream or Wildfire plus Close Combat should definitely KO Porygon, so... You know, the prediction doesn't pan out here, but I don't really necessarily regret making it. It just feels sad because now it's like, I had a way to essentially almost just win the game on turn 1, right? Oh, you're banded. Huh, then I didn't have a chance. Never mind. Yeah, then that play was always really safe. Oh, not necessarily, because then I actually could have one-shot Urshifu on turn 1. It's still not over, though, because, like, I can still get Trick Room up, and Calyrex plus Reshiram under Trick Room is still insanely powerful into my opponent's team. But the dynamic of this is really interesting, because, yeah, if I had actually clicked Lightning on turn 1... Yeah, so their Choice Band on Urshifu. Makes sense. Sash being on Alecki or Whimsicott is, you know, very powerful here. So I will go for the Lightning here. I guess the other interesting question here is whether or not I actually want to click Trick Room, because they could obviously just go for a Max Quake onto Alecki. Do I ever Max Guard here? Like, I already feel so far behind after that turn 1. Yeah, that turn 1's actually, because you have Choice Band on Urshifu, then you don't have to worry about doubling up to KO Porygon, and that's the upside of, you know, running Band, which is very nice. Yeah, I'm actually going for Max Guard Glacial Lance, because the problem is if I Max Lightning, yeah, Urshifu switches out. Into Charizard, okay. So basically, my fear there is if I just set up Trick Room immediately, like, doesn't Reshiram just get outsped by Groudon under Trick Room if they're slower than us, which wouldn't be super shocking, right? And that's a complete disaster for me. So I'd rather try to play around that a little bit right now. I mean, this is still going to be incredibly difficult to win after that turn 1. That was just a great turn 1 play by my opponent. And I was mainly, like, willing to make that bet since, like, I didn't really consider the possibility of Choice Band. Wow, and they flare Calyrex. Nicely done. Although, you actually don't KO me, and that does activate my weakness policy. Hold on. Man, if I'd actually gone for just Lightning plus, Lightning plus Glacial Lance, that would have been a double KO. That's why I was surprised my opponent was willing to flare there, but, you know, they were just expecting to pick up the one-hit KO. And try to deny Trick Room as well. But us surviving maybe gives us a fighting chance here. Especially because I have Max Strike onto Groudon. Okay, Urshifu comes out. My opponent's last one's going to be the... is going to be the Calyrex. I've got Hyper Beam. Do they Sucker Punch here or just Wicked Blow Calyrex? Because, like, I could just max Lightning Urshifu for a one-shot right now in Trick Room. Max Lightning. I mean, if I get Trick Room up, we should win, right? Reshiram under Trick Room. Yeah, they go for Sucker Punch. Okay. This should one-shot Urshifu. Yep. I can't believe Calyrex survived there. That's wild. I mean, I kind of can believe it because its defense is really good. This, like... But still, that wasn't Max Flare and Sun. Funnily enough, like, I just haven't seen Max Flare and Sun come out in so long. They may have doubled up onto Calyrex, and if so, that's where things get interesting. But they do target Alecki. Okay, perfect. So I get Trick Room up. Now it's just Glacial Lance plus... I don't even think I need to go for a Blue Flare. Earth Power should just win us the game. So, sometimes you might have disastrous turn 1s, but you can still find ways to win the game. That being said, the game's not over yet. And there is a chance Calyrex is not actually in the back. This is one of the scenarios where that actually might benefit them more. If they have Calyrex in the back, I think it's over. But if they actually dropped it here... Okay, they have Calyrex. Cool. I mean, we know we're slower than Groudon here, right? So, with Glacial Lance and Earth Power, I don't see how they get out of this. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm at +3 attack here. If Calyrex faints to that Max Flare, though, I definitely just lose the game immediately. So, I don't know what the damage calc is on that. I actually want to do it after this game because I'm curious. Assuming it's Admit Max Groudon. I just don't know it. But now we're in a position to just pick up a double KO. Yeah, I mean, there's really... Like, as soon as Trick Room goes up here, we're good, right? But we couldn't get Trick Room up very easily in this game, and then Choice Band Urshifu was a very nice way to answer my Porygon on turn 1. The funny thing is, if I'd actually just clicked Lightning... Okay, Groudon just Max Guards, that's fine. What is the item on it? That's my other question. I think their hope here is for me to, you know... not go for 100% accurate attack on a Calyrex, like miss Blue Flare, and then, you know, they get an Astro Barrage to actually KO. But because we have Earth Power here, this is exactly why you always want to be careful, and when you are in endgames, think about accuracy as much as you can. Okay. Groudon's max ends now, and that's all she wrote. Cool. I really want to know the damage calc on Calyrex. Like, I have no idea whether or not we actually survived that most of the time, whether or not it was a very favorable roll for me. Like, yeah, just what the odds are for there in general. Because they did a great job targeting Calyrex there, but you could see why I was a little bit hesitant to click Trick Room, right? Because if I'd actually set up Trick Room there, I would lose the game, and I had to stagger it a little bit. And so the idea was to just get some chip damage on a Groudon, but ended up being a lot more than chip since they activated the weakness policy for me. That might have been my only path to, honestly, like, coming back into this game. So, yeah. Let's pull up the damage calc, because I'm very, very curious about it. So pulling up the damage calc there, max flare is a 56% chance to one-shot there. So, you know, if my opponent gets that KO, they just win the game immediately. So this is a helpful calc to know. I didn't know, like, whether or not we got very lucky surviving it. It is basically a coin flip. It's slightly more in my opponent's favor, obviously, like 56 versus, what, 43.7% chance in my chance to survive there. But either way, yeah, like, you know, the game felt like it was actually kind of like it was over after turn 1, because not only did I get nothing out of my Dynamax, but I committed a Dynamax to KO something that switched out, right? And I lost Porygon too. But even after that disastrous turn, because we have a fairly fortunate damage roll there, it completely opens up the game for us to get back into it. And then using the knowledge that it was Choice Band Urshifu, we were also able to play around it, right? And so, yeah, in the end, you know, sometimes you aren't always going to have the best start to a game. What's important is like keeping mental fortitude and just trying to find your path to victory, no matter how slim it is. But yeah, you know, if I think that max flare play makes a ton of sense. And looking at this damage calc, right, you'll take that chance to just win the game immediately. Because if Calyrex faints there, there's just no way I can come back from that angle, I don't think. So yeah, because then I don't get the Glacial Lance damage on a Groudon, and there's no way I ever beat the Groudon after then. So very, very clutch survival there on Calyrex to allow us to win this one. But my opponent made some really great plays, and that Choice Band on Urshifu, like, I got to be very aware of it in future games, because like the fact that I can just one-shot Porygon 2 is obviously a really big issue for me. So yeah, let's look for another game here. Okay, next match here, and what? What? Dude, I'm down to get wrecked here. I mean, Necrozma, Dusk main, Wigglytuff, Jynx, Dragapult, Kyogre, Amoonguss. Wow. I don't even know, like, what to expect here. Like, you know, Wigglytuff, people used a little bit in 2014. Ray Rizzo actually had it on a regional championship winning team. Jynx can, like, Sweet Kiss with Focus Sash, has Fake Out pressure as well. This team is just crazy, though. Like, it's one of those where I honestly feel like I'm likely to lose because I have no idea what to expect, like, at all. Necrozma under Rain is also really scary here, in my opinion. I'm trying to see how I can, like, best deal damage into it. I also have to respect Dynamax Dragapult as a possibility. My opponent could just lead Kyogre. I don't even know. How do I fight against this? Okay, I'm thinking of Feeny Reshiram just because this is like a bulky lead that like gives me plenty of opportunities on turn 1. But like, dude, this team. What? That's so cool. That is so cool. I just want to see... I mean, first of all, like, the restricted pair in itself is already pretty interesting. Yeah, they go with the Amoonguss and Kyogre, which is actually very good for us, all things considered here, I'd argue. Because I set up Misty Terrain, so Amoonguss can't do much. Turn 1, do you just go for Rage Power? Like, I want to Heal Pulse, because I expect them to, I don't know, max Kyogre, Geyser into Reshiram. Because the thing is, Amoonguss either protects here. Like, I'm also down to just Nature's Madness, Dynamax, and Max Flare. Max Quake for a special defense boost here is interesting. It's just, is there any world in which they ever, like, don't protect Amoonguss or switch out here? I feel like a protect is decently likely. For that reason, I'm down to Nature's Madness, Kyogre, Max, or sorry, yeah, Dynamax and Quake. I don't know, it's just so tempting to try to snipe off Amoonguss if we can. No Dynamax, no switch from their end. Can't say I love that. I also just like, how do I beat Necrozma Dusk main in the late game? I don't know. The cool thing is they have Wigglytuff, Dragapult, and Jynx on their team, so one of the 3 has to come out in every game, essentially. Ugh, they didn't protect Amoonguss. Yeah. I mean, it's still fine. What is Amoonguss going for here, though, is my question. Could be a Sludge Bomb. If it goes for Self-Pollen Puff into Kyogre, my opponent is truly an amazing specimen of... We'll see. Yeah, if they go for it, then they're honestly a legend, and I wouldn't even be upset about that. You're a beast, dude. Oh, respect, respect, respect. Wow. That was awesome. Okay, well the thing is I can make the same play this next turn. I think they're going to expect it, so I almost want to just KO the Amoonguss right now with the double up. But now Amoonguss could protect. Okay, they just Rage Powder. That's fine. We changed the weather this way as well. Okay, they go for Thunder. I would think with the special defense boost we survive. Good. Can't para me. Sick. We get Madness. I mean, the thing is, if we had knocked out Amoonguss on turn 1, where do we... Oh, it could be Aqua. But doesn't look like it. Okay. Hopefully this KO's in the rain. Okay, good. But my opponent's done a great job selling out my Dynamax, right? That's already 2 turns of my Dynamax over. And late game Necrozma looks pretty scary right now. I'd be surprised if they had Dragapult in the back. So what would I expect? Necrozma plus... I just don't know what Wigglytuff does on that composition at all. So, like, I want to see it here because I just don't know what to expect. But let's see. Let us see. It's Jynx coming out. Okay. You get Fake Out here. Is it worth switching Finneon into Porygon? I think the answer is yes. Finneon into Porygon, because it allows me to conserve Misty Terrain. I've got the special defense boost. I can go for Overgrowth onto Kyogre. But I'm also down to Flare into Jynx. Well, I think Jynx is going to be sashed here anyway, so like maybe we just go for a special defense boost. I guess there's no guarantee it's sash though, so I don't know. I don't feel that bad about my position, but I just don't know what Jynx is going to do to us right now, and that scares me a lot. Trace Dry-Skin. That's so cool. That is so cool. Wow. Okay. That is wild, bro. Yeah, so we get another special defense boost, and getting this boost on a Porygon is pretty valuable. I mean, the thing is, like, crazy enough, they could still Dynamax Kyogre at this point in the game. Now it's a dry skin Kyogre. Oh. So I think what I want to do here is Eerie Impulse the Porygon, or sorry, the Kyogre, to really reduce its damage up. But like the thing is, you could actually say, you know what, I'm just gonna Dynamax Kyogre and now Max Geyser you. That could be a possibility. Eerie Impulse. I've got Feeny and Calyrex in the back. I don't want to switch out Reshiram right now though. And I don't know if my Earth Power, like I don't expect my other moves to KO the Jynx here, so I'm just gonna Blue Flare. Okay, they're gonna Skill Swap and take Porygon's Dry Skin away. Sure. Water Spout, yeah, sure. But with the special defense boost, we take that very nicely. Okay, Blue Flare connects. Good. Bye-bye, Jynx. Skill Swap is so cool, though. Like, that would be so valuable against Groudon, right? Where you just, like, change the weather and then Kyogre just outspeeds and KOs. That's awesome. That is so cool. Okay, Kyogre's damage output now, though, really lacking. So it's all about the Necrozma endgame for my opponent now. And I have Foul Play, which is obviously going to be valuable into Necrozma. Special defense boost. Like, I'm intrigued in clicking Blue Flare. I mean, here I think I should click Recover. 3 turns of Rain. You would expect this to Dynamax. Do I ever Trick Room, actually? It's just about beating Necrozma that's troublesome right now. Okay, honestly, I think the line I'm going to take is to try to KO... Oh. Necrozma didn't max. Okay. Is it Swords Dance? Because if so, I actually think I might just get wrecked by it now. Well, I guess I have Foul Play, so not necessarily. It's also good to confirm we're faster than a Necrozma with Reshiram. Draco does so little with Misty Terrain up, but I didn't know what other options I really had there. Oh gosh, it's Swords Dance. Okay. At least I get Recover off. But I think Necrozma might just sweep me now. Because I don't really have a great Necrozma matchup, right? It's not one of the Pokemon like that you really go out of your way to prepare for. And it's actually really solid into the comp that we have here. I think I'm honestly just going to Foul Play and Blue Flare. Blue Flare to basically ideally activate a policy on their end. Then they're at +4 attack, and then Porygon can Foul Play. Although I guess if they just Steel Spike Porygon, maybe a +4 Steel Spike just KOs. Blue Flare also can burn now with Misty Terrain no longer being around. Really cool team though. Like I definitely didn't play optimally, but it's like hard to play optimally when you have no idea what's coming your way. And my opponent like going for that sick Pollen Puff immediately on turn 1 was a great play. Like the thing is, at least their Kyogre does no damage now, but actually miss Blue Flare. Okay. Steel Spike into Porygon. 123. That KO's already. Oh shoot. I thought we definitely survived there. Yeah, I think it's just Necrozma's just gonna sweep me now, I feel like. I mean, how in the world do I beat it, right? Seeing Kyogre heal back from dry skin, by the way, like that's like a very significant amount of recovery. What a cool team, dude. What a cool team. Wow. The skill swap was just so cool. How could I have played this any better? It's the Swords Dance that's the game changer as well. Because if you don't have Swords Dance there, well, I guess the Blue Flare was kind of sketchy there anyway. Like, I felt like I just had so few answers against late game Necrozma. But to be honest, Necrozma is very good into this team comp. Because when you have rain support, Reshiram doesn't do that much damage into it. And Calyrex is really bad in this matchup as well. But what a cool team. Okay, let's still try to play the game out. I mean, I guess I can Heal Pulse onto Reshiram. I honestly don't see an out here. I think Necrozma just KOs everything, to be honest. But I would like to at least see the item on it, because I'm curious. Actually, you can just Thunder here, but they just Water Spout. Dude, Skill Swap is so cool, because like you allow the Kyogre to heal up with dry skin. That's so cool. Oh my gosh. These are games that I really don't mind losing because you just run into like bonkers sets. They were in policy, okay. So Swords Dance was their way of boosting up. I'm very curious about the item on that then. The game is just over though. Like they played exactly to the win con, which is late game Necrozma. If I wanted to win this, I needed to pick up knockouts a little bit faster. And that turn 1 play, like not getting the knockout onto Kyogre and then them actually going for the Pollen Puff was just really well done on their end. But yeah, I mean, Kyogre Necrozma, honestly, is a pretty terrible matchup for us here. And my opponent had so many surprises on their team. Like, in order to win this, we'd essentially need to stall out Necrozma's Dynamax, ideally, and then, like, use Foul Play against it in the end game. But how do we ever get to a game state like that? I don't really see. So, yeah, I'm just going to forfeit here. That was so cool, though. Like, lot of interesting things here. You know, the turn 1 Pollen Puff immediately to heal up your Kyogre. That was awesome. The Jynx to go for Skill Swap to not only reset the weather, but also get Dry Skin onto Kyogre was really cool. And then late game Swords Dance Necrozma was also really cool. And we didn't even see Wigglytuff or Dragapult in that matchup. So, yeah. It's definitely one of the more unique teams that I've run into. And it honestly felt like even if I played a little bit better, like let's say I KO Amoonguss on turn 1, it is so hard to deal with Necrozma in the end game. The skill swap changes so much there, right? Because it means that you can reset the weather without switching out Kyogre, and it means that you don't have to Dynamax Kyogre to like max Geyser. So, like, that's a really big deal, right? Because, like, Reshiram in the sun, yeah, that should be really good into Necrozma. But if the rain is up, then it's just substantially weaker. Also, not knowing the item on it in Best of 1 is so tricky because I just assume it's policy until I see otherwise. But I don't know how I, like, reliably handle Necrozma here. Like, maybe Instant needs to come out just for Intimidate. But with them having Sword Stance and, like, having it in the end game and conserving their Dynamax, like, it was just masterfully played on their end. So, yeah. Kudos to my opponent. That is a really cool team. I would love to try it out. I don't know if it's a public team anywhere, but that is... I'm so curious about Wigglytuff and Dragapult sets there as well. So, yeah. Anyway, that's going to be it for today's episode. So, thank you so much as always for watching. Leave a like if you enjoy. Don't forget to answer the question of the day, and I'll see you all next time. All right. Peace.